Good morning, everyone.
PT was actually making my pain worse when I was home.
Sue, will you do roll call, please?
Yes. Good morning. President Davidson,
Present.
Vice President Ricketts, Secretary Martucci, President, Treasurer Gundry, Director Bardell, Director Hector, Director Martin, Director Ryan, Director Shaw. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Ginger, I take it the bridge is working, correct? Huh? Mr. Ricketts is trying to get in on the bridge. I'm only telling you what he just texted me. Send him the bridge information. So I'll call the meeting to order at 9:33, and we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the December 2nd Federation Board meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes? Thank you, Ray. Have a second? Thank you, Randy. Any discussion on them? All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye. Opposed? Then the December 2nd meeting 2022 are approved. The next item on the agenda is the manager reports, and I will call upon the illustrious Mr. Knott to do the...
I'm moving up in the world of illustrious.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. It's great to see everybody. My first order of business is to introduce our newest landscape specialist, Jonathan Newman. We are so happy to have Jonathan here. Jonathan's most recent experience is as the property manager for the Tampa YMCA. He oversaw sports fields and landscaping. He has a Bachelor of Science in Turf Grass from Penn State University. Figured you'd get a smattering of applause for that anyways. Thank you, Jonathan. Of course, Joey. So we'll let you all go out and do your thing. Thank you. Thanks.
Before you leave, sir, Mr. Newman, before you leave,
Yes, sir.
as we all have names for different individuals, the board has jokingly said that you'll be referred to as Newman, if you don't mind.
I told you. The monthly landscape review meeting schedule, this is for the board. The monthly landscape review meeting schedule has been released for 2023 and will be on the first Wednesday of each month rather than the last to allow for complete grading. A new zero tolerance system for landscape quality grading is in the beta phase for January, February, and March, and will go live in April. We are currently grading January under this new system. With new board members and POCs, in addition to a general need, First Service is going to be offering 3 landscape work order seminars, February 5th, 27th, and March 2nd at 10 a.m. I will provide more details to the community, hopefully next week on those seminars. Administratively, of course, our CAMs are very busy conducting the annual meetings and elections for the 113 member associations. The meetings will run through the middle of February. We're down to about 25 associations whose annual meeting second notices will be mailed out 14 days prior to the meeting date per statute requirement. So not everyone's received second notice yet, but you will. Along with the Standing Election Committee, we are preparing for the upcoming election for the Federation Board. There are 5 districts up for election, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The first meeting notice and candidate nomination form will hit the mail no later than January 27th. Nomination forms will be due back to First Service by 5 p.m. on February 17th. Candidate certification happens on February 22nd. The second notice and ballot mailing is March 9th, to be returned no later than March 27th, with election results announced at the annual meeting on Friday, March 31st. Conveniently, the end of the business year is a Friday. The insurance appraisal for each association's business values will begin on Monday. If residents see a gentleman in their association observing the outside of units, it will likely be the appraiser. The cost of the appraisal will be charged to each association. FCC received via certified mail the attorney letter objecting to their improper 30% increase from the contract rate. The letter accompanied the payments made at the contracted rate for October and November invoices and requested they be considered payment in full. We have had no response from FCC, and the December invoice arrived at, you guessed it, a higher rate. And that is my report.
For clarification to the association boards and residents, that last year, First Service used a mailing service for the Federation Board elections, which Steve just gave you the dates on. Those ballots and election will not be done through a mailing service, but all notifications and all ballots and return of the ballots will be done through the First Service personnel here in Kings Point. So they have over 3,000 ballots that you'll be sending out in notifications. Is that close to the number?
Well, it depends on how many elections we do have.
But the notifications are over 3,000, right?
Yeah, the first notice and the nomination form actually will go out through our normal mailing service. That one's not the issue. It's the ballots, the ballot envelopes, the outer envelope. Those we will be sending out in-house. So yes, those will come locally generated from our office.
Okay, so we wanted to eliminate, and last year we made arrangements with First Service, an agreement that any Federation election that is held will be conducted through the First Service office and not a mailing, using the mailing service out of Kansas City. So when Steve says they will be mailed, you should be receiving them in 2 to 3 days maximum, going through the Sun City Center post office. So that should eliminate any concern. So we do not have the same issue we had last year. And in compliance with the operating procedures, and Steve has already validated, each association or each section district will have separate colored ballots and envelopes. And I just wanted to clarify that for all of the residents, that it is being done in a different manner than it was done previously. Therefore, I'll turn the meeting over to Ginger for the land trust report.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. It's nice to see so many people today. I'll be reporting on December operations and then turn it over to Matt for some programs and services reporting. As you can see in your report, the Fitness usage is climbing, as it typically does this time of year. We did only have 62 water classes canceled for some weather, but we have a higher usage on the land classes. There were some pop-up classes taught, so that's an active program that you will see really getting higher usage in this month and the next 2 months. In the spa and salon, we served 513 clients, which was a 15% increase over prior month, with 863 services performed. The sales and merchandise, service and merchandise sales were 11% over the prior month and just shy of 6% favorable to plan. Moving to food and beverage, we had over 8,200 patrons served at the South Club, which was a 9% increase. And on the food and beverage sales, we were 16.4% favorable to budget. That does not include the Le Perc, which I apologize, it's not if you want to write it in on your report. Le Perc was open from December 7th to December 31st, so about 3 of the 4 weeks of December, and they did over 5,400, which was a 45% increase over the same period in the prior year. So the new concept is being very readily accepted, and that's during the holidays and things like that, so we look to see that improve as well. Guest passes for December sold were 1,561. That was a 25% increase over the prior month, which is typical when we have holidays and family members in, etc. On the projects, we have the Nantucket pool deck and cabana paint project that has been completed, and the pool is now back open for resident usage. The pool heater did tap out on us, and sadly, a replacement heater is projected to be installed by the end of the week. On the South Club pool expansion project in phase 1, the installation of the new footers and block walls have been completed. Electrical and interior plumbing continue inside the structure, and new windows and doors are estimated to be delivered and installed in the coming weeks. On phase 1.5, the area in front of the new bar and surrounding area is completed. New fencing and gates will be installed in the coming weeks there. And on phase 2, the other components of this project, the shade structures, appliances, the pool furniture, landscaping, and the sound system, have all been approved and are in progress. The South Club paving project, we had the main and west parking lots that were budgeted for this year. It was done in 2 phases to try to limit as best we could disruption to resident usage. But the west parking lot, the seal coating and striping portion has been completed, and that area is open for resident parking. And phase 2 is the main lot in front of the clubhouse, and that's been divided into 2 sections. The milling and paving portion is estimated to take 4 days, weather permitting. We've had some pesky rains. But look for signage and directionals. We will have some limitations there back and forth, but please be patient with the team as they try to get that project done. Some people may say, well, why are you doing it now? Well, there's never a good time, but in the next month or so, it's going to get even busier down there at the South Club. So we'll get that all cleaned up and ready to go. And if you have any questions, Victoria's in the back of the room as far as what's going to be closed when and where. The main clubhouse renovation project in this clubhouse, work is in the current section in the northwest hallway, is estimated to be completed by next week. Once that's finished, they'll move on to another section, just slowly, eating that elephant one bite at a time. Big clubhouse, a lot of hallways. This section includes the area in front of the second set of doors to Fiber Arts, the studio on the northwest entrance to the women's locker room. After the tile replacement is completed, the indoor painting of the southwest and southeast hallways will be scheduled. And onto security, I'll just hop to the end here. We've got busy month, of course, highest call volume. I'm sure it surprises you. It's Christmas Day, 433 calls in that day, 14,695 passes issued in December. Very, very busy gatehouse in the month of December. For notables, we had a resident call the front gate to inform security that there was a man paddleboarding in one of the ponds in the Lancaster area. Upon arrival, security observed the man was actually on an air mattress with a rake and a small paddle. You know, you cannot fault him for not being innovative here. The man was navigating his way to shore after recovering his downed drone that was also drowning. He informed security he was on a mission to recover his drone so he could receive the $1,000 insurance claim payout if it went down, which it did. Security informed the adventurous fellow of the rules restricting entry into the ponds and the dangers of alligators, snakes, and possible bacteria. So, you can't make this stuff up. And then finally, a reminder to all residents that parking in the turnaround areas in your neighborhoods within Kings Point is not permitted. Emergency response vehicles are being hindered. Sometimes the trams can't get through there, so please be aware of that. And we don't want to ever cause any unnecessary situations that could delay emergency response teams. So just be cognizant of that. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
I'm actually ready to hire a paddleboard guy for the creativity, and maybe he can implement some new programming for us in the community. So I give him credit for it. It's enjoyable. Speaking of programming for the community, last night was our first night of the winter series. Scott's back in the back. We had over 800 of your friends and neighbors here for CCR. I received emails up until about 1 o'clock last night with folks that have enjoyed themselves and had a great time at the concert. Le Perc was also open serving entrees, and that will continue on throughout the season. Scott is now under the directive to let me know when the band shows up, so my anxiety levels will go down each and every show. So we continue to see the success of that, so Scott, great job programming that throughout the year. Also got 3 pop-up shows coming, March 30th, April 4th, April 7th. If you don't know them by now, you don't want to probably know about them. So if you're running low on pens and candy and raffle prize opportunities, your opportunity to obtain all of those will be January 13th from 10 to 2 in the Veterans Theater. We'll have a Business and Wellness Expo. There will be a number of screenings that will also be done there, so we look forward to having you out. Activities Open House is very popular, scheduled for January 18th. That's a lot of your friends, your clubs, your neighbors. January 18th in the Veterans Theater from 10 to 2. South Club is always moving and shaking. January 13th, they have an interactive pasta buffet. January 20th, a Roadhouse buffet. January 29th, a Sunday brunch. So thank you to the team down there. I know you guys are rocking and rolling. There's always something going on. And if you add in the music, January 7th, January 14th, 21st, 25th, they're really increasing the programming and making sure that you guys have opportunities to have your friends and guests and be entertained with your friends and neighbors. So we appreciate that. Gentle reminder, Thursdays through Sunday, the South Club does serve breakfast. And in addition to that, we have actually added catering opportunities for your clubs, events, neighborhoods. We've had a number of folks take advantage of that opportunity here at the North Clubhouse. The South Club is also producing that and working with Alex, our catering director, who is here in the back of the room. So we're excited about that. We have in-season coming up. We've got Woodstock event, casino night, themed dances, music bingo getting ready to happen in addition to the produce market, Jen's Market, the physician staff labs, podiatry services, mobile mammograms, on-spot dermatology, vaccine programs, boosters. In addition to that, we will be partnering. I'm very excited about this, so stay tuned with Moffitt. They are going to be breaking ground in the next couple of years in this area, but they are going to be working with us here in Kings Point as a pilot program, as a study, and there'll be more information on that coming soon. So in addition, Scott's working with USF on bringing some of the entertainment out here. So we're consistently trying to innovate and bring new things to the community, and I hope you guys get an opportunity to take advantage of that. You've worked your whole lives to have a little fun. That's what we want to have as part of our operation here.
I just wanted to add that, Scott, if the only thing that's necessary to reduce his anxiety level is to make a phone call about a band, I wish I'd have gotten that memo years ago. Just saying.
I wish we all would have gotten that memo years ago.
I mean, say that was to reduce all of it. That's one of them.
Matt, I know Ginger touched on it, but she touched on Le Perc and the sales in Le Perc. I just wonder, how do you people like the new concept in Le Perc of having hot meals available to you, So you can come up and have lunch if you want, or take them home and eat. I do know, and I'm not trying to steal Matt's thunder, but currently breakfast is like a grab and go, but I know that there are plans to also beginning as we progress ahead to serve hot breakfasts also. So people that want to come up and grams of eggs and bacon or sausage and biscuits and stuff, they will have that opportunity in the future.
How many have tried it?
How many of you have tried the North Club?
Oh, not enough.
Randy supports it very heavily. If you haven't tried it, please do, because you will find the menu changes daily. It is published by Vesta on a weekly basis. What is being served there each day, what the sides are. The food is typically fantastic, as it is in the South Club, and you will enjoy it immensely. I will tell you, and Matt, you can announce, I think you told me on Tuesday, how much business did we do? Wednesday? Did you say it was Wednesday? We did over $800 in business, and I can tell you, Ginger said it's 45% increase. There are months that we didn't even do $800 in a month out of LaPerk, and we are doing generally what we did in a week in a day there now. And take advantage of it. Did I see in a notice that you were having dinner available where shows are? Because you didn't mention that, so. Okay, I must have missed. So that is really good that you're doing that. The other thing, because these are posted on our minutes, the board requested and Ginger complied that the number of guest passes that are sold are now included on the report. So for those people that are interested in guest passes and how many guest passes we serve or sell on a monthly basis will now be listed in the report that's attached to the minutes of the meetings. And thank you, Ginger, for having that added, because it gives us an idea of how many guest passes we're actually selling. So thank you. And Matt, please extend to the people at the South Club and the people that work with PERC our appreciation for making what seems to be a success a reality, because it's very much appreciated. I know a lot of people have commented on LaPerk and the lunches that are being served there now. With that, we will go to committee reports. Vicki, do you have anything? Ray. Dan, I know you have plenty.
Plenty, yes. First, let me just mention that we are starting to begin negotiations with First Service for a new management contract. The RFPs have been returned, and First Service was the selected company to negotiate with. That is beginning, and we hope to have that done in the not too distant future. Secondly, today we will be hearing from Ms. Eva Robinson of Spectrum on their proposal for a new contract for us. Before that happens, I would like to thank Steve Knott for his participation in working with this proposal, which has been 7 months in the making. And I would also like to thank Tom Murphy. Tom Murphy he's Mr. Spectrum at Kings Point. He has been involved in the last 3 contracts. He's technically proficient in all of the details of the equipment, how it works, when it works, what the specifications are, and he's been invaluable in working with us and Spectrum in the development of this contract. I would imagine at some point after the proposal, he may have a couple of comments he would like to make or questions to ask, and I would suggest that the board give him that opportunity if he wants to do it. It would be in our best interest to hear what he has to say. That's all I have to say at this point in time for contracts and such.
I am just going to add to your comment regarding the property management company, that at a later time, when the contract is presented to the membership, the contract committee who worked on the RFPs that were sent out will provide more information as to why First Service was the selected company, but at this time, we are unable to provide that information to the community, but it will be provided at a later date. Fair enough, Dan?
Yes, I believe that would be accurate and the appropriate thing to do.
Randy, you have anything? Sue? Sue, did you say? Okay. Jim, treasurer report. For those of you who were not at the membership meeting, I want to thank the residents that are in attendance here for their support of the holiday celebration. I know that the master has a presentation to the Martha and Mary House for proceeds from the raffle that were over $17,000, which is a testament to how the community supports charitable organizations in this community and the raffle. Sue will be doing a presentation on the proceeds from the tree and wreath silent auction, which went to a different organization last year. And please don't quote me on this. I believe we raised just over $17,000 in total between the trees and wreaths and the raffle. This year, this community raised over $22,000 combined. So congratulations to yourself, and a great deal of appreciation goes to the vendors, clubs, and organizations that contributed their time and effort on the trees and wreaths, and to the vendors that contributed prizes to be raffled off. Unfortunately, the master did publish the winners, and nobody at this table was a winner of one of the large gifts, which we will speak to Jane Harden, seeing she pulled the tickets. And Jim pulled the tickets, so we'll be speaking to them why none of our tickets were drawn. And by the way, Jim pulled the tickets because he was too cheap to buy a raffle ticket. So.
He knows myself.
With that, we will move to new business, and the first item on the agenda is the new business, is a presentation to be presented. And before you present that, for those of you who don't know, Sue took this project on last year. She took it on this year. This is her project. She pulled it together. She worked with Vesta to make sure that the people were here to help setting up. This is a labor of love that Sue took on. Basically, she carried this project on her shoulders. And Sue Martucci, not only working with Devonshire, which she is president, and working with the Garden Club and serving on the board, still found time to work on this worthwhile cause. And Sue, I want to thank you for the efforts that you put into this. They're very well deserved. So with that, I'll turn the meeting over to you.
I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Cowell, Kelly Cowell. Ms. Cowell's personal, family, and community shared grief over the loss of her beloved son, Corey, who gave the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the Army's 82nd Airborne Division in Afghanistan in 2009, grew into a personal mission in a vision that came to her directly from her son, Corey, that she needed to be strong, create something positive, and help fellow service members, veterans, and first responders who lost their comrades, suffered the terrible and often silent wounds of war, and service-related injuries, both physical and mental. Kelly's fierce determination, strength, and faith allowed her to create My Warrior's Place, and over time to add more programs, My Service Dog's Place, Project Corregidor, and FAVE boating expeditions at a very unique retreat center complex on the water off of Shell Point Road in Ruskin that also welcomes Gold, Blue, and Silver Star families. So Ms. Cowell.
How about you, Camera with you?
The community of Kings Point would like to present you with this check in the amount of $5,430. It represents the proceeds of generous silent auction bidding on beautifully decorated and donated trees and wreaths that line the hallways of this clubhouse during the second annual Festival of Trees and Tradition. We hope that these monies will go a long way to support your mission and your vital programs of My Warrior's Place, and it's an honor for our community to support you.
Just so you know how this money helps us, we recently had a young couple. He had traumatic brain injury, had to learn to walk again, talk again, has 2 small daughters, and she contacted us from Georgia and said, we've done everything and we're just really struggling, and we heard about you. And can we come down? And we said, sure. And we got them out on a boating trip. And we partnered them with a captain who had also had to learn to talk again and walk again. And so they really hit it off. The children were catching fish. Everybody was having a great time. But the mom was sitting there kind of upset, and we couldn't figure out why. And when we got back to the dock, she jumped off the boat and she ran and she started crying there at the gazebo. And one of our first mates came up and he said, look, I'm not only a chaplain and a boat captain, and I served in the military, and I know there's something going on. What's wrong? What's wrong? She said, no, you don't understand. I don't know what it is she did out there. I haven't heard my husband's laugh in over 3 years. And I don't want it to end. This is the kind of healing that happens due to donations like this. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart on what you've done to raise this kind of money. If you're interested in continuing to support us, we have a raffle going off right now. Would you like to win a yacht? We actually have a raffle right now to win a yacht. You don't even have to like boats. You can sell it for money if you win it. But you can go to mwpraffle.com and get a raffle ticket, and those monies will support us. So mwpraffle.com. Thank you.
And there are some brochures here on the table about My Warrior's Place if you'd like to take one on your way out. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sue. Our next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Spectrum proposal to the board. This proposal and the Spectrum contract is confidential and proprietary in nature, and it is only available to unit owners within Kings Point and to the board. So if there are any individuals within this room that are not unit owners, I would ask you to leave now. There are a great deal of ramifications for the disclosure of the information contained in this proposal. There are financial ramifications to the community. So, in keeping with the requirements of Spectrum that this be confidential to the owners within Kings Point, we're asking that anyone who is not an owner in Kings Point to leave the room. You will find that when the general membership meeting is held where this contract may be approved, or we hope is approved, that meeting will be closed only to owners. Any leasees, renters will not be allowed in that meeting, nor will any outside individuals be allowed in that meeting. And it has been arranged with Vesta to have badges checked at the door. So when you get the notice for the membership meeting, when this will be discussed, it will be closed to owners only. And I just wanted to reiterate that. I know that Eva is glad to hear us saying that, in keeping with the confidential conversations that have been had in the past and what the requirements of the contract require. So we are trying our best to meet your requirements in keeping this contract confidential.
Okay, and with that, I have no other changes, so.
Is there any comments? And I know we have one for good and welfare. Do you?
Unfortunately, Ginger and Matt aren't here. LaPerk, fantastic job. Great to see. Thank them for listening and including the concerts and being open for them so we have additional revenue. Wonderful thing. One of my suggestions is if we have sold out concerts, if you go to Amalek, they may actually add dates for the same performer the very next day. Has there been any thought to adding dates, not pop-ups, to these concerts that are sold out?
Scott, are you in the back of the room?
I am.
You want to answer that? Because the board can't answer that because it's a Vesta presentation. Yet Scott is the one who arranges these performances, and he can answer your question for you.
Great.
We actually did think about that. When we had, in the summer, 2 of our shows sold out right away. And we initially, that was on the table, a discussion between Matt and I took place about that exact thing. Do we add a second date the next day simply because, it will, we were able to get the second date at a cheaper rate because they were already in town, that kind of stuff. What we luckily didn't do was pull the trigger on that because we would have had to do that for 13 shows. So the availability of the theater wouldn't have allowed us to do all of that, so we really, at the time, didn't want to set the precedent that we would do that because we would have had to do them for every single show that's sold out. That's not to say that in the future we won't look at that opportunity to do so. We just felt that due to the limited availability of the theater during the months of January to April, We would not have been able to do it for all the shows, so we didn't want to do it for any of them. Does that help answer your question?
It does, thank you. Okay, finally, we are here and it is in season and it is peak season. And we have chosen to do work at Nantucket in peak season, chosen to do work on the South Clubhouse parking lot in season, which may cause lost revenue due to the inconvenience of where you have to park. And 3, we continue to do work at the North Clubhouse, limiting some of the availability of the rooms. At what point will we stop doing these activities, particularly in peak season, and do them off-season?
I cannot answer the question, and I don't know if Victoria's in the back of the room. Did Victoria leave?
Yes.
Rodney, I would ask you to ask Matt, and I can tell you that whenever we do it, it is not going to be convenient for the residents. And I understand where you're coming from. The board has asked the same question of why is it planned now versus planned later. We have to plan it also around the vendor schedules also. As you know, the North Plum project is not a simple project to be done. All the rooms have been set so they can be accessed, so no room is cut off. But I understand where you're coming from, Rodney. But if you want, I mean, you know Matt as well as I know Matt, ask Matt that question and maybe he can give you the answer that you're looking for. Fair enough? Any other good and welfare? And with that, I will entertain a motion from the board to adjourn. Thank you, Vicki. Second. All in favor, say aye. Diane, please come.